Huzzah, everybody! I am KenMeisterLP, and welcome to Let's Play the original Metroid for the NES. And for those who are wondering, yes, I am playing the port on Metroid Prime, just so you know. And, oh boy, I love this series to death. It is easily up there with Zelda for one of my favorite video game franchises ever. In fact, I consider the Metroid Prime games as a whole, in particular, my favorite video games ever made. So, let that be somewhat of a foreshadowing to come. But, yeah, I'm going to be playing all of the Metroid games in the series. I don't know what I'm going to be doing as far as the DS Metroid games go. But, yeah, I plan to pull a Clement with these games and tackle all of these because these mean a whole lot to me, man. I replay these games super often. Like, I usually make it a mission to replay at least one of these games every year because the replay value in all of these games, most of them anyway, just goes beyond what I look for in video games. So, yeah, might as well start with the first. It seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do, I guess. And it's honestly a big innovator in just platformers in general because I can't think of many other games that coined the phrase Metroidvania up until this point, really. I mean, hell, how many platformers can you name back in 1987 that gave you the ability to go left and find a power up to obtain before moving on to another portion of the game? It's more or less like a mixture of like Mario's platformy elements with Zelda's like item progression and power up gameplay, I suppose you could say. But as far as the actual game itself goes, I really don't play Metroid 1 all that much. In fact, I've only beaten Metroid 1 about 4 or 5 times, if I'm going to be totally honest here. Metroid 1 is probably my third least favorite game in the series, next to Prime Hunters and Other M, with Other M being my least favorite game in the series. And that's not saying I truly dislike Metroid 1, so to say. I mean, other than Other M, in my honest book or opinion, like, I don't really consider any of the Metroid games bad, though. Prime Hunters has me on edge sometimes. But, with Metroid 1's case, it's simply just a matter of the fact that, well, it's the first game. It came out in a very early period of the NES, so of course it's going to be kind of rough around the edges, and a lot of what the later Metroid games do, including Metroid 2, kind of take what Metroid 1 did and just does it better, really. I mean, it's not really a contest. Unless you have... I've noticed that unless you have an absolute nostalgia boner for this game, you're not going to really get into it. This game purely exists these days on ports and compilations for historical curiosity and nothing more. And the first time I did get to play this game was actually the Metroid Prime port. The port I'm playing in particular was actually something you had to unlock on the compilation. They did this thing with Prime and Fusion where you can connect the games via a Game Link cable and you can unlock different extras. Like, if you beat Metroid Prime and connected Fusion, you got to wear the Fusion suit in Prime. And if you vice versa it, you could play this game, which is pretty cool. Because the port I'm playing in particular actually has a save feature. And even the Zero Mission like port of this did that as well. And that is something good to have. I absolutely hate how the save feature works in games like Zelda 1 where you have to die in order to, like, actually save. Because, sure, it might not mean too much in the long run, or, like, in the short run, rather, when you're playing it for the first time and you're dying all the goddamn time. And it's like, ugh, I better save all this minuscule progress I've made. And then when you actually go back and replay the games, once you get good at them, it's like, fuck, I gotta put it down. Guess I better die with all those 16 heart containers I've got. And that blue ring, so this is gonna take an eternity. Mom, can it be like 5 minutes, please? I gotta go kill myself. Which is weird, really, because, like, didn't the Japanese version of this actually have, like, a Zelda-esque save feature to it? Like, I know it didn't have save stations like Metroid 2 did. Because, like, wait, yeah, this didn't really have a save feature, did it? Yeah, it had a password feature. Where if you died, you had to type in, like, this paragraph-long password thing in order to get back to where you were. I still wonder how those work. But, like... yeah, it's like, how did the Japanese version end up with a save feature and this one didn't, you know? Japan, you sneaky bunch of bastards. So, as far as my course of action goes for this particular Let's Play, I hope to not spend too long on it because, again, I haven't played this game too much, and that might slow down, like, the progress of this game significantly because Metroid 1 is a very, very confusing game to go through. This game doesn't give you a sense of direction, much like Zelda 1. I think it's a bit better than Zelda 1 in that regard, simply from the virtue of it being a bit more platformy-esque and linear, I guess, somewhat. But, like, I have right next to me an official Nintendo Player's Guide. Props if you actually know what that is. And it's something I've owned since my childhood that has, like, a catalog of a bunch of old NES games from 87 and back, where it'll give you, like, little tips and bits of, like, each of the games that it came out for the NES at the time. And it even includes maps of some of the dungeons for Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Metroid, which is what I'm going to be using for reference today, because, goddamn, like, Brinster, the starting area, isn't too bad. It's mostly just like, okay, we're going to take a bunch of, like, turret-shaped hallways and take the branching paths, which aren't too many to begin with. And it's pretty self-explanatory where to go to from there. But then, like, you get to Norfair and Ridley's Lair, and I can't fucking play those areas without a map, because, like, Metroid 1 and 2 have this, like, early NES age tendency to, like, copy-paste rooms, probably because of memory limitations at the time, I'm guessing. And I didn't find it too bad in Metroid 2. In fact, it was probably lesser used in that game. But, like, with Metroid 1, especially going through Norfair with a lot of the hallways that looked exactly the same, and then I start getting confused at where I'm at to begin with, it's like, fuck! So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to ever take it upon myself to actually memorize the whole entirety of Metroid 1, simply because, well, one, again, the later games do a lot of what this game does and just does it better, both from a gameplay and structural perspective, and so on and so forth. I am going to try getting 100%. I know for a fact I'm going to be getting all of the upgrades. I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting the Varia suit before I go to Kraid's Lair or afterwards, because the Varia suit in this game requires a very unorthodox method of getting to before we can actually get the damn thing. I know for a fact I'm getting the long beam and the bombs first. Or I could just head to Ridley's Lair first. I don't know. Because, like, yeah, I know Ridley's, like, technically the easier boss. And before those who, for some reason, haven't played this game in order to progress through this game, you have to tackle, like, 2 mini-bosses, Kraid and Ridley, before you gain access to the final area. But in Metroid 1, you can actually do this completely out of order. And, I mean, aside from maybe a few upgrades you might need, like missiles and the high jump, there's really not much of a restriction on where to go, per se. In fact, there's only like 9 upgrades in this game overall. But, anywho, before I lose my train of thought, what I was thinking is that I don't know if I should go towards Kraid's Lair first, or Ridley, because Ridley is technically the easier mini boss by a long shot. Shock. That's simply because he has this like really obvious hole in his AI that can basically allow you to like just kind of cheese him without taking damage. Whereas Ridley feels more like a tank fest than anything. I seriously don't know how you're supposed to beat Kraid without taking damage, if I'm gonna be real here. Like, I just don't see it. Now, let me go ahead and open my guidebook up. Let's see, okay. Can I find it? Can I find it? Can I find it? Man, this book is like literally falling apart here. Okay, page... Okay, here we go. I got a map here. Now, there's only 2 missile tanks we need to get here, as well as 2 energy tanks. So, I think I might head over to the long beam first, and then get the ice beam. Or actually, wait a second, we could get the ice beam now. Holy fuck. Right, we're right there. Okay. Let's do this. I'm gonna get some, I need to get some missiles first. Yeah, expect a lot of moments like that. I apologize in advance if I make this game look more archaic than it really is, and it probably is. But, like, frick, man, I just can't. It's like one of those games where you just can't play it without a strategy guide. Otherwise, you start tearing your hair out because you have no idea where to go. And I promise this is honestly, like, this is going to be the only Metroid game I do that with. Like, I know the other Metroid games well enough to, like, tackle with just my knowledge of the game alone. Even Metroid 2, which we're going to be getting to right after this. Because this is my side project alongside Sonic Adventure at the time of this recording. So, we're going to make things work. We're going to make things work indeed. Just worried about when we get to Super Metroid, a game that everybody and their mothers let's play it, and just wondering what I'm going to actually do to add to that playthrough. It's going to be a glorious marathon, let me tell you. And glorious it is because I don't have any goddamn missiles. Yeah, in this game, and up until Super Metroid, no, Super Metroid did it as well, but like, in the first 3 games, you actually had to have 5 missiles on hand before you can open up a red door, which can be kind of obnoxious in the early game when you barely have any missile tanks to scrap off to begin with. And we got bombs too. Bombs are going to be really useful in this game, I know that much, because in this game we didn't have the ability to crouch down and shoot yet. I guess Samus has arthritis in this game or something, but yeah, we can't really shoot at feet's length, which makes shooting like really small enemies really annoying in this game unless you have the wave beam. And we're gonna be getting the wave beam. It's just the sucky thing about like Metroid 1 and 2 is that again, something that Metroid Super fixes, Metroid Super, lol, is that in that game, you could stack beam power-ups as you go, and like, in this game, and Metroid 2, like, sure, the long beam stacks up, which kind of makes me confused as to why that doesn't work to begin with the other beams, but with the ice beam and the wave beam in particular, you can't stack them. It's like you have to like give up one beam for the other if you decide to go after the ice beam. And while my preferred choice would be the wave beam, the final area of this game terrain basically requires that you have the ice beam, which kind of sucks really. Because I'm not really too fond. I don't like the way the ice beam works in this game. I really don't, because okay, so like in other games, if you hit like a weak enemy with the ice beam, they'll freeze instantaneously, and then you can just hit them over and over again while they're frozen and they die. And with the big enemies, it's not much different. You hit them until they freeze, and then when they're frozen, you keep pelting on pellets until they die. In this game, it's really annoying, and Metroid 2 fixes this in the sense that whenever you freeze an enemy, the moment you shoot it with the ice beam, they unfreeze themselves. And as far as I know, that doesn't count as an extra point of damage. So, say for instance, I'm hitting like a Zebite here, or a Zoomer, that's what they're called, with like 4 power pellets, right? With my power beam. Okay, so I'm shooting with him with the ice beam, and it takes me 8 goddamn hits to kill him. Like, goddamn it. Because I'm sitting there unfreezing and freezing him all over again, like just back and forth in constant motion, and it's like really obnoxious. And it's like, it's for reasons like that why I don't see why people like this over, like, Metroid 2. I get that both Metroid 1 and 2 haven't aged too particularly well, but, like, even Metroid 2 has a lot of, like, good gameplay fixes that make the experience a lot more, like, tolerable, or better, at least. In fact, I actually like Metroid 2. I like Metroid 2 a lot, and I'm going to be getting into why that is when we play that game in the future. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves and talk about the original Metroid. So right now, I'm backtracking to get the long beam here. And the long beam is definitely a necessity worth getting in this game in particular. Because, yeah, in this game, your default weapon doesn't shoot across the screen like it does in other games. I like how they bring that notion back in Zero Mission 2, a much superior version of this game. Or reimagining, I should say. Where they make it like your default weapon in that one too, for old time's sake. And I'm not getting missiles. Where's my missiles? There they are. Yeah. Whew. Scrounging about for missiles in this game is pretty annoying. It's not so bad in Metroid 2 though, because you start off with like 30, but like, ugh, Jesus. Anywho, we have the long beam. You have no limit as to how far it goes, and that's honestly the way it should be. Oh boy, this Let's Play is going to be a mess. I can just see it already. In fact, again, because of the way the save feature works, I'm probably just going to be tackling this whole game in its entirety in one single swoop, really. So I'm going to try to beat the game in the same day I'm playing the game from the start. And it's not like the game is that long, but again, like, just the fact that I'm trying to get through the map and its confusing architecture alone just makes the gameplay, or the game time rather, just double. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna get the Varia anyway. It's gonna be awkward as hell getting the damn thing, but you know what? There's no harm in trying. Would probably be best if I had the high jump boots going into this first. You know what? You know what? Okay. I'm just gonna worry about it later. Or, I'm trying to think. Because we get the high jump boots in Norfair, which is on the way to Ridley. Cray doesn't have any power-ups, but upon beating him, he gives me like 75 missiles, which is good. And I get a lot of energy tanks there too. Eh. You know what? Fuck it. We'll just keep going. High jump boots or not, it still doesn't make the process of getting the thing in the first place any less annoying. If I can even reach it, I'm gonna have to find out for myself. Okay. I'm done thinking. Again, expect lots of moments like that where I'm just looking through the guide to make sure I know where I'm going, and I apologize. Okay, so the method we get the freaking Variosuit is, for all extensive purposes, the most awkward method ever. So you have to lead this Zoomer or Zemer. Frick, I'm forgetting all of these enemy names today. And what you have to do is that you have to lead them in here. And because the blocks constantly respawn, you have to, like, hope to God his AI cooperates and just loops in there at the right time. Otherwise, you're not going to have a little stepping stone to actually get to the Variosuit in the first place. You know, to this day, I still think this is like the most obnoxious method of getting an item in any Metroid game ever. That's including Other M's bullshit of how you get the Variosuit in that game. Holy frick. Okay, alright, we got him where we want him. Okay, this is good. This is going swell. Alright, so all I need him to do is cooperate by, Alright, I thought I was going to shoot him twice for a moment. I didn't want that to happen, because then he'd unfreeze, and I'd have to do this all over again. Ugh, because the one thing that really sucks is that... Holy frick. Like, if I killed him right there and then, that would have made me so mad. I guess that's one reason why having the ice beam, like, freeze and unfreeze enemies over again in this game can be good, but that's, like, literally the only time I ever think that works in your favor. Otherwise, it feels like the ice beam's more of a crutch than a supportful item when it comes to, like, enemies outside of those niche situations I had just mentioned. Anywho, we got ourselves the Variosuit, and unlike other Metroid games where Samus grows oversized shoulder pads, Samus simply just turns pink in this game. I don't know why, but it kind of looks good on her, I guess. That's probably where the Smash alternate costume color comes from, now that I think about it. In fact, didn't Sakurai just outright confirm that in an interview? Oh well. Anywho, the last two things we have left is to get a missile tank and energy tank in Brinstar, and then after that we're going to be heading to Kraid's Lair next. I'm probably going to end up regretting that, seeing as, again, he's a bit of a tank when it comes to actual boss strategy. Ow. And if I do recall, this route we're taking here is just going to kind of take us back to the vertical hallway that took us to the Morph Ball Bomb. So what I'm probably going to do is, once I get to that point, I'm going to cut off the video and then just kind of cut back to where Kraid's Lair is, because I have a lot of backtracking to do from there. Trust me, you're gonna need all the energy tanks you can get before coming to Kraid's Lair too, because ugh, that's such a brain dead boss fight. It's retarded. Oh, and I guess if you really felt like it, you could use the ice beam to get up there too, but why would you? Anywho, that's going to be it for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 as we head to Kraid's Lair and put it into his dastardly ways. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys then.